I'd like to introduce now our stewardship speaker, our accounting warden, Greg Mon.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, John, for the introduction. So I have the joy this morning of speaking about stewardship, and I don't say that in a sarcastic way. I want to tell you a little bit about what we're doing as a congregation, as a church, and for both the parish and the community. And I want to tell you a little bit about how we will continue to do that with your help. So a few weeks ago, you may have seen an email from the church about the theme of rebuilding and restoring together. And that was an email that was largely about the historic bones of this building and the work we're doing there. But we're restoring and rebuilding together as a stewardship theme this year as well. And because that work goes beyond just the physical place, right? We all know what the last 2 years have wrought for everybody. And we're in a place of restoring and rebuilding as a congregation, as a community, as well. So I want to tell you a little bit about those pieces, and then over the next few weeks, you'll hear from other members of the congregation, other members of the vestry, about specific pieces of this vision that we're working on. But let's talk about the building very briefly first. So last year, we fixed the west wall of the building. We've been working on installing a new organ for the building that should be finished next year. We've fixed the entrances to the building, and in just a few weeks, you're going to start to see scaffolding go up in the breezeway because we're replacing the roof. All of this is deferred maintenance, some of it decades old, and we're very excited that we've been able to make this progress over the last several years. Much of it, especially with regards to the organ, because of your generosity. Beyond that, we're restoring and rebuilding as a congregation because we are here, we are sitting together. And we are sitting together as we feel comfortable, and we're having other programming again. We have the concerts that are part of the life of this church. We have the growing choir that you see and hear sounding so beautiful. We have choristers. We have children participating in the service. We have a children's service that's returned. We have fellowship after services. These are all things that we're returning to after a period of dormancy. And together is the most important part of all of this. This is a collective effort, right? It's not just John and Rachel as our pastors. It's not just Fatima and Donald and Meg and Demetrius, the staff who are here to help assist all of this happen. But it's also us, those of us who are in the pews, and those of us, as I look around at the cameras, who are at home watching, or those of us who may just be watching this on YouTube a few days later, because the way in which we are a congregation and are a church has changed. I want to tell you a little bit about the people who are helping with that especially. So there's often been confusion about how you can be more involved beyond just being here on Sunday. And there are 4 committees at this church that help make things happen. There's the Congregational Life Committee, which Nancy Rasmussen heads. There's the Finance Committee, which I head. There's also the Property Committee, which is headed by Fatima Lane, our Director of Operations. And there's the Outreach Committee, which John currently takes up. There are all kinds of ministries around these things, whether it's Open Hearts for outreach, or the Healing Prayer Team for congregational life, the things like the decorating party you just heard about. On finance, it's stewardship, which I'm talking about today, and the budget. And on property, it's all those things I spoke about a minute ago. So there are all kinds of ways for you to be involved. But at the end of the day, it's also important to be involved financially. And so I'll speak to that just for 1 second, and you'll hear more, like I said, the next several weeks. The annual budget of the church is over $1 million. We're blessed in that for 160 years, people who came before us have left an endowment for this church. That endowment is what's making these improvements possible to the building, but it's not an unlimited resource, especially in a year like this. And so we have to fund part of the work of the church through the generous donations that we make during the stewardship campaign each year. And this year we'll need to raise about $250,000 just to supplement what we need and get us on a path to kind of financial sustainability. So that's what I want to say, and I want to encourage you all in the next several weeks as we head towards the holidays to think about, in your heart, what you can give and what you've received, and whether what you can give acknowledges that. That's it. Thanks for the time, John, and thanks for listening to me.